Directly behind me, we're at the Sphinx. See the pyramid behind it? The second biggest pyramid. Let's talk about the Sphinx. They say it was built around the same times as the pyramids, 2,500 BC, 4,500 years ago. But Egyptologists and researchers like John Anthony West, geologists from Boston University, Robert Schoch, Graham Hancock, they all disagree, say it's much older. But why? Let's go in and find out why many believe that the Sphinx is thousands of years older. You see the Sphinx behind me, but the real reason that they believe it's even older is because of the water erosion around the walls that encompass the Sphinx. Now the Sphinx was dug out and the stones were used to build the temple that are just at the front of the Sphinx. So it left this kind of cavern because the Sphinx was dug through the rock to create it. But you see there's tons of water erosion along the walls all around it. That type of water erosion from geologists, tenured geologists from Boston University, Robert Schoch, believes that must have been thousands of years of heavy rainfall. Not just the Nile flooding, but heavy rainfall down. And that only happened at the end of the last ice age, the Younger Dryas. Some might say, well, why doesn't the Sphinx have water erosion? And the claim is that's because the Sphinx has been rebuilt over the years, even as late as 2,500 BC, when they think mainstream Egyptologists have dated it. As you can see, there's multiple brick layers, thinner bricks on the outside, showing that it's been rebuilt over and over and over. On the back right, Paul is the best example of this. You see the thicker stones within, and then layers of outer stone built years and years later, and that's why you don't see water erosion. But the walls of the Sphinx, as you see here, are still the water erosion. They weren't rebuilt, so you still see the water erosion. Just imagine tons of water pouring over. You see those vertical crevices. That must have been thousands of years predating the 2,500 BC timeline that mainstream Egyptologists give it. So when was the last time there was heavy rainfall in this area of Egypt, in the Cairo region? That would be almost 12,000 years ago during the Younger Dryas, when the world went through this mass drastic change of weather patterns, where the northern and southern hemisphere changed. Mass freezing started to rapidly melt, causing massive floods. It's not proportionate. The paws and everything's proportionate, the body, but the head seems to be rebuilt over and over and over again. An aerial view picture that hopefully I can find and put here will show that the head just does not match the body, implicating that it was rebuilt. Many believe that the Sphinx represented Leo, so it must have had a lion head to match the paws and tail that you see below. Obviously a lion body, but a human head, which is not abnormal for Egypt to have animal bodies, human heads, animal heads, human bodies. But many believe that 12,000 years ago, the constellation of Leo was directly in front of the Sphinx, so the Sphinx would have been staring right at it. That would put the dating to about 12,000 years ago, which would go with the water erosion on the walls around the Sphinx from the Younger Dryas of that mass flooding. Another interesting thing about the 12,000 year date, the Younger Dryas date, is that it aligns with Turkey's Gobekli Tepe, which is about 11,600 years ago. All that would align with this massive flooding. So maybe that's why they built the pyramids, to keep the records of knowledge, how to rebuild society. Best shape to take on a massive flood, a massive wave. again, there's a hole, there's a little room down there, and there's always arguments that there's structures underneath, but there's a little hole there. Now we do know there's some video online where you can find someone that goes in there. There's a ladder that goes down, small room. They have it covered up now. And then actually in front of the left paw, they did a seismograph reading in like the 90s, and they believe there's an empty chamber in the left paw as well. One thing I want to note, I have a great tour guide. They set it up great. Put all the information in the description below. They're awesome. The place is awesome. They're very chill. I'm on a private tour with them. She's literally like walking around and seeing people from college, and they're like, she was the best student. She was the best student. She's great. Awesome. Thing I did notice is like anytime I bring up any of these fringe ideas, it's like, that's wrong. That's wrong. And yeah, you know, she knows way more than me. So my thing is I just listen to a lot of ideas that I find interesting. And even if it's wrong, I'm entertained and also just curious about it and see what their points are. I think you should listen to every side of an argument and come up with your own conclusion. I do see that Egyptians are very proud. This is still them. The Egyptians here are like, this is me, this is us. We're very proud of it. And it's kind of cool that they're very proud of it. So I think any type of fandangling that could kind of turn them off a bit. Even some of the questions I bring up, maybe. There's totally polite and respectful, but I could tell that it's like, oh, are you one of those alien guys? But no, I don't believe the aliens built the pyramids. But it's kind of like you're taking away their history a bit. And they're very proud people, and they should be, because, you know, the British, other countries have come here. Americans have, you know, obelisk in New York, in the park, Central Park. But people have come and stolen things left and right. So now they're coming up with their new ideas and almost like trying to take Egypt's history. So that's kind of the argument. I understand that. For me, maybe it's because I'm not Egyptian. I'm just curious about everything and anything. And I just really think that we don't know a lot about history. Hell, since I've been alive, I'm 38. So much history has changed. So you could imagine 3,000 years of that, or 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 years ago, how much we don't know. Early Muslims believed that the Hall of Records below the Sphinx was information, a library, the pre-Library of Alexandria, if you will, that kept the information in case of a massive flood, because they learned from Atlantis times that this great flood wiped out civilization and have to rebuild with the lack of knowledge. So thousands of people have kept this knowledge alive and decided to preserve it for the next flood or next solar flare. Interesting thing about a solar flare, I'm forgetting the name, but there was one, like I believe in the 1850s or in the 1800s, and we only had the telegraph in America at the time, and it wiped out the telegraphs, but it didn't really matter because there was only a few telegraphs. But that same solar flare would hit today, our whole grid system would go down. Internet, electricity, freezers, computers, generators, dams, everything's run by computers nowadays, so that solar flare would be drastic. Seems like ancient cultures are always preparing for the next, this worldwide event of destruction, whether it be a flooding, solar flare, fire, meteor shower, whatever it is.
And opening of the mouth. Both are all like holes, and each of them you're gonna see an opening. In each opening, they should, or they already put one of the statues of King Khafra, because this is a valley temple of King Khafra. So here we have like more than like 24 or almost. So they are all not here, but we have the most and more than one in the Egyptian museum.
So this is the Valley Temple next to the Sphinx. This is where they mummified the pharaohs and the kings and the people, based off of, you know, based off some of the papyrus texts, based off some of the evidence they found. One thing I find interesting here is the curvature of the stones in the corner. Sometimes you see where it's like butted up, two stones, but these ones, do you see they curved it? Which is really good for acoustics, but it's interesting that why would they go in that trouble of doing that? You know, it would have been way easier just to bud two stones instead of kind of warping them or cutting them into a curve.
The 24th was standing there. 23 here, and the 24th was standing
That's it for the Sphinx video. Thank you everyone for watching. Check out the next video. We got Turkey videos, we got Egypt videos, we got more coming. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. This is a lot of work. I feel like I need a vacation for my vacation, especially Egypt. It's not an easy country to travel in. A lot of hassles, a lot of scams, a lot of negotiating, but it's a beautiful place if you're a fan of history and you can't beat it. As I said that, someone tried to sell me scarves. But they're just trying to make $1 to survive in this crazy country. Can't blame them. Again, thank you. Like and subscribe. Any help is much appreciated. And if you want to leave some comments to educate me, I'm all for being educated. These are just my ideas. I'm just a web designer, just with a huge interest in these people like Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, and John Anthony West, and just learning from the Joe Rogan experience and the podcast that he's introduced me to all these wonderful people. I just appreciate it and hope to travel more. Until the next video, see you soon.